The truth Danny Koker kept hidden is finally out, and it's more shocking than fans ever imagined. For years, Danny Koker stayed silent about the chaos behind Kustoms. But the pattern was clear: his most trusted employees kept vanishing without explanation. No goodbyes, no farewell episodes, just silence. Now, looking back at the wreckage of what was once TV's most beloved garage, the truth about these 5 employees becomes crystal clear, and why Danny had to cut them loose. Danny Koker built Kustoms from nothing but pure passion and an uncompromising vision. Starting as a small garage in the early 2000s, it was supposed to be his personal sanctuary where he could work on his collection without interference. But when the History Channel came calling and Counting Cars became a massive hit, everything changed. Suddenly, Danny wasn't just running a garage, he was managing a television empire that demanded perfection under crushing deadlines. The pressure was immense, and not everyone could handle what came next. The first crack in Danny's carefully built foundation came from someone he trusted to keep the books balanced and the shop running smoothly. Scott Jones seemed like the perfect shop manager when he first arrived at Kustoms. He had experience, he understood the business side of custom car building, and he appeared to share Danny's commitment to excellence. But appearances can be deceiving, and Scott's obsession with cutting costs would eventually become the very thing that destroyed Danny's vision for the shop. Scott Jones constantly clashed with Danny over spending on quality parts, creating an atmosphere of tension that poisoned the entire garage. While Danny poured his heart into creating automotive masterpieces that would carry his name and reputation, Scott was constantly undermining projects with his penny-pinching mentality. He prioritized cheap shortcuts over Danny's reputation for perfection, never understanding that in the custom car world, your reputation is everything. One shoddy build can destroy decades of trust with clients who expect nothing but the best. The shop environment became increasingly hostile as Scott's constant negativity about costs wore down the team's morale. Danny's craftsmen were artists who understood that true quality couldn't be rushed or cheapened, but Scott treated every project like a balance sheet rather than a work of art. He would argue with Danny in front of customers, question spending decisions on camera, and create the kind of toxic tension that made everyone uncomfortable. The breaking point came when Scott's budget obsession started affecting the quality of builds that carried Danny's name. After season 2, Danny had seen enough. Scott was gone. No farewell, no explanation, just gone. The message was clear: you can't put a price tag on perfection, and Scott never understood that fundamental truth. Today, Scott runs a small garage in Tennessee, far from the spotlight he couldn't handle and the standards he couldn't meet. But Scott's departure was just the beginning of Danny's problems with employees who couldn't handle the pressure and expectations of being part of the Kustoms family. Rolly Sabo's thick Hungarian accent and goofy personality made him an instant fan favorite when he joined the show as the shop's detailer. His comedic timing and lovable energy brought levity to the serious business of custom car building, and viewers couldn't get enough of his ant. But behind the cameras, Rolly's behavior was wearing thin on everyone at Kustoms, and what started as lovable comic relief became a distraction that threatened serious builds and tight deadlines. Rolly's constant joking disrupted the focus needed for complex custom work, and other employees began complaining about his attention-seeking behavior. The quality of his detailing work, the very skill that got him hired, began to decline as he focused more on getting camera time than on perfecting the cars that left the garage. His professionalism became questionable, especially after the 2017 robbery of his trailer that cost him thousands of dollars in specialized tools and equipment. Some wondered if Rolly's careless attitude extended beyond just comedy and into how he handled his responsibilities and secured his workspace. The final straw came when Rolly's comedy routine started interfering with tight deadlines and demanding celebrity clients who expected nothing but professionalism from Kustoms. Danny built his reputation on flawless execution and reliable delivery, and Rolly's clowning around became a liability the shop couldn't afford. When high-profile clients are paying top dollar for custom work, they don't want to deal with employees who treat the job like a comedy show. After season 6, the joke was over, and Rolly was quietly shown the door. He now runs his own detailing business in Vegas, keeping a much lower profile and focusing on the work rather than the spotlight he seemed to crave. Shannon Aikau presented a different kind of problem entirely. He was undeniably talented at building custom motorcycles, with skills that took decades to develop and an artistic vision that created some of the most memorable bikes featured on Counting Cars. But Shannon's ego couldn't handle the show's evolution, and as Counting Cars grew bigger and more successful, his attitude became increasingly difficult to manage. He represented the kind of employee who believes their talent gives them the right to be difficult, demanding and uncooperative. Shannon refused to adapt to the show's new direction and faster pace, showing open disdain for celebrity builds and high-profile clients who brought the big money that kept the shop running. He became increasingly isolated and uncooperative with the team, creating a negative energy in the garage that affected everyone's ability to work effectively. His quiet, brooding personality might have worked for his artistic image, but it created problems when the shop needed team players who could collaborate under pressure. Shannon wanted to be an artist on his own terms, but Danny needed employees who understood they were part of something bigger than themselves. As the show leaned into bigger builds and celebrity clients that brought national attention and serious revenue, Shannon's resistance to change became a problem that couldn't be ignored. He slowly faded from episodes, appearing less frequently as his attitude made him difficult to work with, and even harder to feature on camera. He disappeared entirely around season 7, and Danny couldn't let one person's artistic ego hold back the entire operation. Shannon still builds bikes in Las Vegas, but far from the cameras he clearly resented and the teamwork he couldn't embrace. Mike's wild helmets and neon mohawks made him instantly recognizable to Counting Cars fans, and his fearless airbrushing turned ordinary cars into rolling works of art. But Mike's rockstar attitude became a nightmare for Danny to manage, and his unpredictable behavior created real problems behind the scenes that threatened the shop's reputation with serious clients. Mike's artistic chaos worked great for television drama, but running a successful custom shop requires reliability, professionalism, and the ability to meet client expectations consistently. Mike's wild personality clashed with professional clients who expected serious work and reliable delivery from Kustoms. His constant need to be the center of attention disrupted the team dynamic, turning collaborative projects into competitions for screen time and recognition. His artistic vision often conflicted with customer expectations and deadlines, creating tension with clients who had specific requirements and budget. Mike's increasing demands for creative freedom couldn't be accommodated in a business environment where customer satisfaction and timely delivery were essential for survival. Mike wanted to be an artist without boundaries, but Danny was running a business that depended on satisfied customers and reliable delivery. The friction between Mike's creative chaos and Danny's professional standards finally reached a breaking point when clients started complaining about dealing with Mike's unpredictable behavior. Mike gradually pulled away from the show, eventually focusing on his own brand rather than being a team player who could contribute to the shop's success. Mike now runs Horny Mike Designs, proving he was more interested in building his own fame than contributing to Kustoms' success as a team. But none of these departures prepared Danny for the ultimate betrayal that would shake the very foundation of everything he had built. Joseph Frontier wasn't just a bad employee, he was a criminal who stabbed Danny in the back when he trusted him most. As the shop's bookkeeper, Frontier had access to everything: company accounts, financial records, and the trust of a man who believed loyalty was sacred. He used that trust to steal over $75,000 from the company Danny built with his own hands, his own vision and his own reputation. The details of Frontier's betrayal read like a criminal playbook of corporate theft. He forged Danny's signature on company checks, systematically stealing money that belonged to the shop and the employees who depended on it for their livelihood. He used company money to buy himself luxury flights and even a Range Rover, living a lifestyle funded by theft from the very people who gave him opportunity. Most devastating of all, he created false paperwork to cover his tracks for months, showing a level of premeditation and calculated deception that destroyed the trust that held the Kustoms family together. This wasn't just about money, it was about trust, loyalty and family. Danny had welcomed Frontier into his inner circle, trusted him with the financial health of his empire, and given him access to everything that mattered. Frontier repaid that trust by stealing from the very company that gave him everything, showing a level of betrayal that cut deeper than any business dispute or creative disagreement. The betrayal was so profound that Danny never spoke publicly about it, perhaps because some wounds are too painful to discuss,
or perhaps because the depth of the betrayal was too personal to share with the world. The lawsuit that followed exposed the full scope of Frontier's betrayal, revealing a pattern of theft and deception that had been going on for months under Danny's nose. But the legal victory couldn't repair the damage that had been done to the family atmosphere that made Kustoms special. The trust that held the team together was shattered by one man's greed, creating an atmosphere of suspicion and caution that changed the shop forever. Frontier vanished completely after the lawsuit, leaving behind only the wreckage of broken trust and a lesson about the cost of misplaced faith. Danny Koker built Kustoms on loyalty, passion and trust, believing that shared values and common goals could create something special in the world of custom car building. But these 5 employees proved that not everyone deserved a place in his automotive family, and each departure taught Danny a harsh lesson about the cost of keeping the wrong people around. The pattern was clear. Scott valued money over quality, Rolly valued attention over professionalism, Shannon valued ego over teamwork, Mike valued fame over loyalty, and Frontier valued greed over everything that mattered. Danny's silence about these departures wasn't about protecting their reputations, it was about protecting his own brand and the employees who remained loyal through the chaos. Sometimes the best thing you can say about bad employees is nothing at all, letting their actions speak louder than any public condemnation ever could. The departures sent a message to everyone who remained. Being part of Danny's team was a privilege that came with expectations, and those who couldn't meet those expectations would find themselves on the outside looking in. Kustoms survived because Danny learned to recognize the warning signs and act decisively when employees threatened the shop's culture, quality or reputation. The shop still builds incredible cars, but now it's built on a foundation of people who understand that being part of Danny's team is a privilege, not a right. The lesson for everyone, in business, as in custom cars, one bad part can destroy the whole machine. Danny Koker learned that lesson the hard way, but he learned it well, and Kustoms is stronger today because of the painful decisions he made yesterday.